Tuesday, anytime you cough or sneeze, you have COVID.
I know.
I do not.
Isn't there something?
Tuesday, September the 13th. First order of business would be approval of our minutes, and if committee members have had time to review it, I would entertain a motion to accept.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. First item up is old business, approval of agreement with Volkert for owner representation services for the Benjamin Barnes Y project, total $454,200. Brian?
Yeah, good afternoon.
Hey, Brian.
We've prepared a presentation to kind of look at this more comprehensively. So, 12 slides, we've had a long day, so we'll try to make it brief. So, what we want to do is, again, we want to be comprehensive. We want to touch on the project status, take a look at the budget, look at the schedule going forward, and discuss aspects of the management plan we're preparing. So the timeline, the status in terms of timeline and how we got here. So we issued a RFQ in late April for owner representation services. We had 4 firms submit proposals. They were due on May 19th. The 4 proposals were reviewed by internal staff, and Volker was ranked #1 across the board on that committee. So we made that recommendation on June 3rd. You can see the mayor sent out a notification email to the council. We began discussion with several of you about moving forward with negotiations of scope and fee with Volker for owner representation services. After we got through those discussions, we notified Volker that they could begin preparing their scope and fee proposal. And concurrently, Shameless King had been previously contracted to perform a visioning study. It's like a preliminary exercise that we had contracted with them to conceptually look at the program, look at the scope of like a conceptual floor plan, so we can get an idea of that in a rough order magnitude cost.
How much
So
did we pay Shameless King?
we paid Shameless King, we contracted with them for $27,500 for that contract. So they submitted the results of that study at the end of June, 6/29. And so the next bullet there is that Volker submitted their scope and fee proposal in mid-July. We had further discussion with Shameless King regarding the visioning study. We met with the mayor. You can see that's towards the end of July. And then Volker's contract was prepared by OCA, and we had it in hand on August 4th, 22. And then we took the contract request to the project committee 2 weeks ago, and that's when it was tabled. Out of that meeting, there was a request to meet with local architects. We had a good discussion. We sent out an invite to the local architecture community. We had 3 architects attend a meeting. Out of that, 2 of them followed up with positive feedback on this model. We had another reply from someone who couldn't attend that said they supported this model. So those were good discussions.
Ron, before you leave visioning study, or actually that slide, so I think that's been part of my confusion. When I hear people involved with the project peripherally talking about, well, looked at the plans and what they're what they're referring to is part of this 27,000 visioning study, right? There's been no engagement of an architecture firm and no production of plans by an architecture firm.
In terms of the design phase, yes, sir. So
Okay.
So
everything that's out there is a function of that visioning study. I mean,
That's right.
everything.
Yes, sir.
All right, gotcha.
Brian, can you, I think it is important to kind of explain to the committee what an owner representative is, maybe what it's not, and also what it's not, but really, how would you define an owner representative? What we're actually asking them to do.
Yeah, the simplest way I would put it is that the owner representative is taking my place as a city project manager. So with every project, we're gonna have a city representative that's
shepherding the project through the design into the construction. So, you know, as we move along with the presentation, we try to demonstrate that we're really at capacity in terms of our ability to provide any more project management in-house. So this is, the owner representative will take the place of the city project manager.
And is that owner representative, is it answering to Wendy's department, to you? I mean, who is guiding them
To allow,
internally if we hire
the
them?
way we've proposed to structure it is to allow OC engineering to focus on engineering things. We've talked about Katie Beth being the project manager to
point
this
of contact.
contract. Yes, sir. That's the better way to put it. Point of contact.
So Katie Beth will direct how this is handled with y'all's oversight. I mean, y'all be deeply
We'll be
involved with this,
support
but I'm just
as,
saying.
we would be support as needed in engineering. The idea is that basically the owner representative he takes the reins and manages the project again with the city interest in mind.
But we're basically talking about a high-level city engineer's oversight, I'm saying if we weren't doing this, plus probably some support
Yes,
for that, correct? So
right.
if you had to fully cost something like that, I know we had that discussion in the standards and some of us did the other day. I mean, before we even get to part of the money, one of the things I would like to know where we probably would stand internally. What would it cost us to manage this project? Do you know that, or y'all came up with that
Carly's
number?
Done some
Carly,
looking at
I know you
that.
were gonna work on that.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you. Yes, sir, so we can do a quick pass out for this, just really fast. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And so, one thing that we, and yes, sir, we talked about it a little bit the other day, but these are just kind of putting numbers to paper. And talking with our engineering department and what positions we would really need to have on staff to be able to create some kind of working project team for a project like this. There would be a project manager that we currently do not have that position within our suite right now. So we try to do a salary average both through other local entities that have this kind of position, and then also just looking out nationwide. So we priced that out at the 115 mark. We have a graduate engineer that would be attached to that project manager, and then an engineering aide that would kind of assist the team in general. In total, with benefits, that entire team, an annual amount for that entire team would be $299,000. If you took a monthly average of that, that's about $24,900 per month that we would need to pay that team to operate to do projects of this nature. Per the owner's representative contract that you have in front of you for consideration, that's a $15,000 per month charge. Now, a couple of things I would like to point out with this scenario. Obviously, having an in-house project team, you're going to have a larger capacity to take on a project than just this one. However, depending on the large scale, I can let the engineers speak to this, but depending on the scale of the project, you can't overload the team with projects. Maybe have 2 large projects per that are running consecutively that are assigned to one team, but you wouldn't want to overload them, so I don't think it's going to be too much more than what you're really looking at.
So
Carly,
Carly,
I'm sorry.
okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
you go.
So Carly, you're saying that this team would consist of 3 people and we would need more than one team?
Oh, I don't know if we would need more than one team. It depends on the number of projects that we take on. Right now we obviously have the Saving Center, the Event Center that we've kind of already set towards the side for being worked through our owner's representative. However, all of these other projects that we kind of have that are in the queue, Benjamin Barnes YMCA just happens to be the first one kind of up to bat. Obviously, we talked about there's the McDonald Hughes Phase 2 project. There's also a number of other projects that are like within the Elevate suite. There's the tennis center.
So basically, we couldn't say like when these projects would start and stop, like if they were overlapped. Okay, gotcha.
Right. So I mean, that would be like a special timing. We might need to have 2 teams. I don't know, depending on how those projects time out.
The other thing I was thinking too, Carly, is if you divided the time a little bit more, because again, that's 100% costed, that this is what they're gonna spend 100% of their time on, and that's probably not accurate. You're probably gonna have to back off that a little bit, but even if you do that, you're still more than what, I mean, it looks to me you're still more than what you're probably gonna charge without the benefit, without the.
If you're not, you're really close. You know,
Correct.
you might be really close to
I think
even.
so too.
And also, I would like to point out the fact that if you create a position, that position is really kind of assigned to the city budget, you know, until that position has attrition off. That's the only time that you can really ever get rid of the position. This is a full-time, permanent employee. You're not gonna be able to recruit anybody unless you have that full-time employee, position. That employee is going to have benefits into perpetuity, really until that person dies, with retirement and possibly retiree health care, moving on even after the person has left.
And in a best case scenario, if you were gonna go and try to hire these people, I mean, LaShonda's not here, y'all know this probably better than I do, I bet you it would take 3 months,
It would
at
be
least,
difficult, yes.
3 or 4 months.
The market is very competitive for this kind of talent.
I mean, if you had to go hire them, you'd be lucky probably to have a team with the holidays and everything coming about the first of the year. would
And
be my
especially,
guess.
this is the one thing that I will say is that any employee here has to learn all the employee side of things too. Like, you know, where, if you do need to like report time in, who your supervisor is, learning the general, like, you know, feel of City Hall. That's in addition to, so I mean, yes, a 3-month time period to even get them on campus, and then however much more time to get them trained up on our systems, in the way that you report any of your expenses, things of that nature, just kind of roll in with that.
And then they have to pay attention to the detail of this project.
Correct.
Yeah.
Well, what other questions do we have? Carly, thank you for. I didn't
Absolutely,
mean to-
thank you.
Sorry, Brian, to hijack your.
No, it's all
your-
good.
I just think that we needed to lay the groundwork of what this owner representative, what it is, and I guess to me, what it's, I wanna say what it's not. I think it's important that we all understand what we are actually asking them to do. And I think that is very important. And to me, it's very important of who's gonna kind of be directing them.
Well, then can I trigger all my who's in charge fans?
Absolutely.
Because that's really,
Absolutely.
I mean,
Helicopters.
I think the cost presentation is much clearer, okay? It really, but Katie Beth, are you the responsible person on the city staff for the project? Volkert is reporting to you?
That's how we've talked about it internally and how we've proposed structuring the contract. I would obviously involve other team members across city departments as needed on specific technical areas that need review or input. And then, but generally, just making sure the project meets the concept within Elevate, as recommended by Project Unity, and working with all of the various stakeholders in the community to deliver the project successfully.
Okay, so you're the staff point of contact.
That's
You're the
right.
lead. Gotcha.
Yes.
And you and Brendan, y'all feel good that direction and what we want is gonna be clearly, it just needs to be clearly put there, and this is what our expectation is, because this is an important project.
Yes, sir.
I do think both from a financial, a timeline, and the details that you're describing, that will be in there. I do think that there will be a natural switch-off time period within the next 90, 120 days. There is a job posted for your essential facilities and grounds and construction type positions, so I would imagine as that person onboards, this would be something they would wrap in, and Mr. Thor over there has jumped in 90 days and made a tremendous amount of progress. So we do not want to divorce them from the process from a maintenance facility standpoint.
It's important. Thank you, Brendan.
So we want to make sure they get plugged into it, which is the missing component of this. There's just a little bit of overlap we've got to get linked up.
What other questions? We'll put Brian's back, he's showing back up for his presentation. Sorry to get sidetracked. I just think that was important, and I appreciate all of y'all chiming in. I just think that's an important discussion to have. Brian, sorry. Please
Sure.
continue.
So we were, I was gonna let Jonathan go through the budget and schedule and some other aspects of their
Welcome, John.
Thank you, sir. So the budget that's been identified is the 10 million. That's from 500,000 from Elevate, and then 9.5 million, I understand, coming from the 2022 A bond. And then the breakdown, you can see the visioning study there was 27.5. Our contract is currently priced at 454.2. We have 750,000 identified for the design service, architects, engineers. We'll have 8 million for the actual hard cost construction. leaving $568,300 for all your furniture and IT, and about a $200,000 contingency for that $10 million total cost. Schedule-wise, Chambliss King has done the visioning. We would move in, if we're hired, we would move in October to start working on securing the architect for the project as the staff sees fit, either an RFQ or proceeding on with Chambliss King. We'll determine that once we get started. Schematic design would run November through January of '23. Then we'd go into design development through April of '23, with CDs being ready in July next summer. That'd be construction documents ready for bidding.
But Jonathan, you will basically, if you're hired today, you'll be the lead to put together that process that works with city staff that brings back a recommendation to the committee,
Yes, sir.
right?
That's
Also.
correct. Yes, sir. And then we would be looking to bid August, September of '23, with construction running through September of '24, moving in October and November, and then a grand opening December of '24. So we've got about a 30-month, our contract is based on a 30-month duration.
Councilman Fail, you had a question?
Well, you may have just answered it, but you said currently your contract is 450, 4.2, or whatever it is. What did you mean by that? How would that change?
I mean, that's just that's what we negotiated with Brian on the level of service, the involvement that he requested for the project as far as staffing and things like that. That's what we had negotiated back in July.
So you don't plan on it going up?
No, sir.
Okay.
And if you put that in context of what we were looking at earlier, we're talking roughly $15,000 a month for your contract for 2.5 years. And then we're pretty confident, I am, with these numbers from accounting, that we are north of that, doing that internally.
Okay.
I mean, it looks to me like it is, based on everything. They've done their due diligence on this, so I think that's an important thing to kind of point out. So, sorry.
Okay.
Keep on.
And then as far as our management plan under the owner's rep contract, again, it's 30 months, 454.2. Over that 30 months, I understand Brian originally had budgeted about 600,000, so we're about 150, 145 under that on our fee proposal. That'd be 15,140 a month. And again, our contract, the way it's written, it can be suspended or terminated for convenience at any time. So that's in there. And then we have experience in managing projects with multiple stakeholders like we'll have here with PARA, YMCA, the city, the community, and all the different stakeholders to work with them. And then we have the ability to add staff as we need to. We get going in the project as things ramp up and ramp down. I can bring people on as needed to help.
But that doesn't change your fee.
Doesn't change the fee, no, sir. So once we get started, if y'all approve us to do this service, we will again work to procure the architects and engineers, manage them through the process of design. Again, work on the master schedule and budget. We'll do estimates throughout the design phase, making sure that we're meeting that $8 million budget for construction. Establish all the communication. We use eBuilder software. It's an online project communication tool. Keeps all of the stakeholders involved in communicating well. And then we'll supervise the whole process along that schedule that we laid out before. And then when it comes time to bid next summer, next fall, we'll do the pre-qualification of bidders, and then bid and award the project and get started next fall. And then once construction starts, we'll be coordinating all the efforts between the contractors and the design team during construction, making sure it's being built as it's been designed, manage the cost during construction, manage the schedule to make sure it progresses the way it needs to meet that finish date, and then maintain and manage communication throughout the construction of the project. We'll also coordinate all the testing and inspections that are required to make sure quality is being provided on the project. And then any owner-provided equipment, furniture, anything like that, you saw a line item in the budget for that. We'll coordinate all of that, work with purchasing to get that procured and delivered and installed. And then work on any schedule and manage any of the move-in and occupancy, anything moving from the current location to the new location, we'll work on all of that, and get everybody moved over, and anything's being moved over, make sure that happens well in advance of the grand opening. And then, again, we'll manage the warranty period. You'll have, your 1-year warranty period. That'll be in 2025, based on a December 24 completion. And so we'll manage that as well, any issues that arise in that year after the substantial completion and certificate of occupancy. And Brian will talk about the in-house staffing considerations.
Yeah, so we've kind of touched on some of this. The vertical construction manager positions, we don't have that right now. Difficult to recruit this type of position in the current job market. And like you mentioned, there'd be a duration there. There'd be time to get them engaged and up to speed, and then get this then also being involved in this project would be another aspect of that. OC Engineering, our team members are currently at capacity for managing infrastructure projects. And so that segues into, well, if we're at capacity, we're stretched, we're involved in not just managing projects, but an array of activities, planning, cost estimating for infrastructure issues, development permitting, et cetera. That leads to a less of a level of service we can provide to this project. Where here we have an expert who's providing a defined level of service, an immersive, focused level of service that will prevent the bullet of likelihood of bid prices exceeding budget, and then their expertise will allow less potential for long-term maintenance issues in the review of the plans, et cetera. And again, we've went over the cost of hiring and training a construction manager versus hiring an owner rep, or it's a negligible cost over the 30-month contract. So, in conclusion, our bullets are: OC needs an owner representative to deliver this project. We did receive positive feedback from the local architecture community, and we have prepared a contract document with detailed scope of services. So, open it back up for questions.
What questions of committee members and council have for Mr. Kearney?
First of all, good brief.
Thank you.
Okay. And good plan. Have a plan B.
Okay.
Jonathan gets a contract as an NFL starting tight end.
Yeah.
Or Volkert gets bought out, but I'm just saying, hope we never have to touch it. You better have a plan B on the shelf.
Just understand what you're saying, but that is one of the considerations the committee had during their selection, was that they do have a deep staff.
I agree with you. I think
Yeah.
it's right.
Okay. All right.
Still have a plan B.
Yes, sir. Anything else?
What other questions, anybody? Y'all can't let Brian off that easy.
Brian, with the level of inflation coming, an $8 million building, what would we get for that amount?
Hold on, can you go back to your slide? I was gonna ask you before Lee spoke, with the fees on it, with the breakdown of all of the budget
Like the
items
budget
before you
slide?
answer this question? Yeah, that one.
Okay.
If we can leave it.
Yeah, so can somebody talk?
About what we're expecting for $8
Yeah.
million?
Yeah.
I know,
because
I'm gonna ask
and
for
the
help,
reason-
but
And before you speak, I think that's, I know I've been hearing that from my constituents concerning inflation and how inflation is going to impact the building, the cost, all of those things, and the structure. So,
Yeah.
I
it definitely will. And it's definitely a major consideration.
right.
And one of the reasons to bring on an expert. Right now, the visioning study, what's that?
1,000 square feet.
Yeah, 25,000 square foot facility. It had, the program was a gymnasium with, I believe, 2 courts and some supporting space.
Say that one more time.
25,000 square foot facility with a gymnasium with 2 courts and supporting rooms for events and locker rooms and et cetera, supporting type programming.
So basically, all of the programming, and when we were going through, when we were having our meetings with, our community involvement meetings before with our consultants, the first part of this project, the YMCA, Jeff Knox and Lakita Smith were here, and they brought to the table, they told us what their current facility, the needs of their current facility, and what their current facility can provide. And so we've kind of been given like a rough rendering of what the facility that's going to be built will look like, because it has to fit the needs of what they already have and what they expect to have in the future. And so they've actually, the Benjamin Barnes YMCA, Lakita and Jeff have actually been talking to me about what can we do with phase 2 of the McDonald Hughes Center, because since these buildings are on the same property, it only makes sense to make sure that they complement each other. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, I don't have
So-
a problem with that. I'm just saying,
Yeah.
when you look at $8 million and you look at what you're gonna get for $8 million, and based on the current market of inflation, that is going to impact.
And I don't want to say too much.
I mean, come
And
on.
it's not just the market rate, it's everything we do.
That's
But I
regardless.
do want to say this, I don't want to speak for the YMCA at all, I'm not speaking for the YMCA, but I have seen some conceptual renderings, and I know that Jeff was good with it, I mean, and I think it did include like a child watch place, and, you know, some other rooms that they needed. Okay, yeah, like a suspended track or something. So I know it did have some components that they needed, like an office space, when he's saying the supported rooms, the child watch place, and they were very strategic, even in the conceptual renderings to make sure
Y'all
that,
getting a weight room now?
I think, no, I
That
don't
won't
know.
be- That's a good question.
But one of the most underutilized weight rooms in the Para portfolio
It's
is
McDonald Hughes.
Hughes.
Yeah, and so that was another way that
Oh,
we
they've
were
got
talking
one
about,
there.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
And-
No, not only do they have
and
one,
the
but-
downtown Y, by the way, is heavily utilized.
Yeah,
on
well,
the bedroom side.
there
It's
might be a lot of
over.
reasons for that non-utilization, but, what I was gonna say about the weight room, not only do they have the weight room, but since McDonald Hughes Center Phase 1, now they have the showers, because they had the weight room for years and no locker rooms, no showers, so I brought that. So now they got showers, I just need them to boost up their advertising for membership or something, so now they have showers, so hopefully they'll get better.
They don't want to be in competition with each other.
Exactly.
They don't have redundancies.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, exactly, and so that's what I mean when I say they have to complement each other, so why would they have a weight room or spend money on the weight room when we have one that's not utilized yet? And it's a nice weight room, it's actually too, so,
It really is.
yeah.
What other questions? Great comments. Question, John. Any other?
I will say that Chambly,
Chambliss King,
I'm very impressed with them.
yes, sir.
I guess,
Yeah,
kind of visionary, that was a new word for me today, I didn't know that's what it's called, but.
have you worked with them before? Have you worked with
I
them?
actually did just this past week, and I was really impressed with them.
Yeah, it was nice working with them too.
Yeah.
They've got a good portfolio. I've seen stuff they've done of this nature,
Yeah.
so
Any-
they've been good to work with.
That was my first time engaged with them.
Thank you, Kip, for your comments. Thank you all for doing this presentation. I would entertain a motion to approve this contract.
So moved.
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item number 2 is request for right-of-way permit at 404 20th Avenue. Mr. Gardner, welcome.
Good afternoon. This is a request for right-of-way use to install a handicap accessible sidewalk and a handrail basically parallel to the city sidewalk on the west side of 20th. This project starts at the corner of Lusa Brews. If you're familiar with that building, that's right behind the Royal Cleaners. That building runs north, basically to the end of the block, and this sidewalk improvement will be about half of that distance.
Do we have a photo?
I don't know that we do. Let's see. No, sir. I've got a photo. I think I brought it with me.
Didn't we just sell?
You just vacated a right-of-way north of this. There was a right-of-way vacation of 4th which is the east-west road, and 20th is your north-south road from University Boulevard headed north to 4th.
So they're wanting to put a handicap entrance?
I'll pass this picture around. I apologize for only bringing one. But what it shows you, when that building was constructed, and this is, Weatherford was at the very north end of this. All of those entry doors have steps up to them, so nothing is truly handicap accessible. You know, this was probably built 70 years ago or whatever. So the plan is to build a sidewalk adjacent to the building and eliminate the need to have the steps from the city sidewalk that's at curb level or street level.
Who's building the sidewalk?
The developer will build this, and he will own and maintain it.
Do you have a recommendation on it?
I recommend it approved.
So moved.
Second.
It's moved and seconded. All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Item number 3, authorization to execute a grant agreement with the FAA and the Alabama Department of Transportation. Mr. Powell, welcome.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good to be here today. We are at the point of ready to execute agreement with the FAA and ALDOT. This is for the 2022 grant. One thing different about this year's is our concern for the inflation of construction costs. We opened bids in August 2nd. The resulting bids were above our cost estimate. It was great to see the FAA turn around and went right back and asked for a second additional amount. That additional amount is supposed to be announced today, and they're wanting an executed agreement by September 15th. So a very quick turnaround. I put a lot of those details in your packet, and this is for the terminal apron and ARF ramp reconstruction project just outside the terminal. And this is the primary apron that houses all of our large public charters and cargo aircraft.
So what were we expecting it to cost?
The original amount that started back in the fall was around 4.2. The final construction amount, including professional services, is 5.7 million. The city's only responsible for 5%. The final local match is $289,577.
So I thought I understood you say we have given the 1.5 increase over what we're expecting. We've gone back and asked for, is the terminology, more of the grant?
Yes, they had to increase their federal share to meet the full construction cost.
Oh,
It's just
okay.
under $1
So it's
million.
like that, okay.
Yes, sir.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded.
Thank
All in
you, sir.
favor say aye. Aye.
I got a quick question though, Jeff. So the original was like 4.2,
Yes, sir.
and the inflation cost difference was like 5.7. Interesting. Thank you.
So the 4.2 was with construction. With the updated amount was about 5.2. With
Yeah.
professional services, got you to the 5.7.
Gotcha.
So ALDOT is seeing around 35% above cost estimate.
35% above. Interesting. Thank you, man.
Brutal. Thank you, Jeff. Item number 4, authorizing the mayor to execute a contract with Comcast Business. The total is $1,584.80. Is that right, Eddie? Okay. Jason, welcome.
Good afternoon. This is for fiber internet connectivity to fire stations 3, 9, 10, and the Lakes Division office. All of those exist outside of the city's fiber network. And they currently have kind of commodity, same as you would at home, internet connections. This would upgrade them to have a symmetrical connection and more of a business-oriented timeline for repair and fixing and things of that nature.
Any questions from the committee?
So it's a 36-month contract.
Yes, sir. There's a quite a bit of build out that they have to do, so they want a 36-month contract so they can recoup their costs. They will have to bring fiber to all of these locations. We pay no upfront cost at all, only the monthly.
It'd probably be extremely high if we did this ourselves.
Yes, I had TDOT quote out, and the 3 locations together was roughly $1 million for us to to pull the fiber ourselves. It was 200,000 for 3 and 9 and 600,000 for 10.
Motion.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Item number 5, authorization for a minor public works contract with Cone Cranes for the Ed Love Raw Hoist Repair Project, the total of $6,105. Welcome, Kimberly.
Hello, this is just to repair the overhead hoist at the Ed Love Raw Water Pump Station for $6,105, and this is in our operating budget.
Questions?
So moved.
Moved,
Second.
seconded, all in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Item number 6, authorization for minor public works contract with National Wash Authority for exterior surface washing of 5 water tanks, total $48,800. Kimberly.
This is just to wash the exterior, so just it's basically like a cosmetic wash of the water tanks. And so the 5 tanks that will be in this round of money will be the Mercedes tank, the Yacht Club tank, Crescent Ridge Road tank, Montgomery Highway tank, and the Broadview tank. And that is with the National Wash Authority. And they also have a DBA that they go by with Midwest Mobile Washers, and they did the last round of tank washing for us back in 2019.
Kimberly, how often are tanks washed?
On the exterior with the
I was
last
gonna ask, it's like, does it get dirty?
Yeah.
well, it's just mildew, just
Yeah.
grime from
They
the
look
elements.
bad.
Okay.
So the newer, the tanks that have been painted with the newer hydrophloid paint don't look near as bad as like the older tanks that chalk. So like for instance, Broadview tank, Montgomery Highway tank, the tanks that are more of a white kind of chalky color, they get dirty a lot quicker and it costs a lot more to wash them. But as they get painted again, they'll be to the newer hydrophloid paint, which is more slick and a lot easier to clean. Stuff doesn't stick to them as much.
So will we be looking to do all of our tanks the same way as this? I mean,
Yeah, so ultimately we'll get all the tanks washed and just like all the tanks will get painted, tanks have to be painted every 15 to 20 years, and when they get painted on the exterior, the interior has to be done as well.
yes, ma'am.
So, but anytime you do anything to the interior or any kind of painting or anything like that, even to the exterior, you have to take the tanks out of service.
Yes, ma'am.
So there's always a process with that.
Yes, ma'am.
I do have
It's set
one,
on a rotation.
Yes,
too.
sir. Mhm.
I do have one crazy question. Why in the world will this come out of plot operations budget?
Because the tanks they're either in Ed Love or Plot.
So they're connected to that?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just the washing part would come, because it's just like a maintenance activity. So that's what comes out of operations. If we were painting them, it'd be a capital project.
Perfect. Your motion approved.
You ought to cut a deal with Chief Rice, get one of those helicopters rigged up with a pressure washer.
How many helicopters do we have?
Motion.
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item number 7, authorization for minor public works contract with Miscellaneous Metals and Fab for the fabrication and installation of 1 manual bar screen at Fletcher. Kimberly.
So you've heard us talk about the bar screens at Fletcher often. The ones we've been trying to piece together for the last little while. This last one is really beyond being repaired, and so we did this same project in May with one of the other bar screens, and so we're just doing the same thing with this one. These will get us through. It involves a lot more manual labor, but these will get us through until we get the new bar screens that we're in the process of doing that we've talked about. So the contract is actually not to exceed of $40,000 because I didn't have the quote back yet, but the quote is actually $35,000.
So what are we approving, the 35,000 or not to exceed 40?
It would be not to exceed 40,000.
Motion.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 8. We keep rolling along. Recommended approval of the balancing change order, additional 20 calendar days for Cypress Creek drainage improvement project. Joshua, welcome.
Good afternoon. Yes, this is the Cypress Creek Drainage Phase 1A project, which basically consisted of the scope was the plating. This is some of the initial pictures here of plating the creek banks with grout fill riprap, and also in addition adding a triple barrel culvert underneath 18th Avenue East. This project went from just east of Skyland Boulevard Walmart along Cypress Creek to just east of 18th Avenue East.
This is District 7, right?
This is District 7, that's correct. This is a deduction of $158,281.29, which includes an additional 20 calendar days, as well as 20 calendar days charged as liquidated damages.
Say the last part again, the
20 calendar
they're
days.
finishing 20 calendar days early, or they're asking for 20?
The project
calendar-
finished 40 calendar days over. We had
Oh.
justification for 20 days and did not have justification for the other 20 days, which was, this project was bid to go in simultaneous phases. We felt that the contractor did not approach it that way, therefore extending the contract, not finishing on time.
Yes,
We
sir.
had justification for utility delays and the material delays.
Yes, sir.
But we did not have justification for the other 20 days. therefore
And the
charging
cost
them.
came in where?
At 1.5 instead of
Was it
a little
deduct?
under.
It's a deduct of $158,281.29.
Moving drainage.
Yeah, cool.
So moved.
Moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item number 9 is authorization for minor public works contract with overhead door for the water distribution warehouse roll-up door repair. Total is $68.60. Craig, welcome.
Thank you, sir. Like it says, this is minor public works, contract with overhead doors for the maintenance and repair of the roll-up door over at the water distribution warehouse. I think it's about a 20 by 24 door. It's gonna be $6,860, and it is within budget.
Any questions for Craig?
Motion?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 10 is authorization for minor public works contract with Surf Pro for the City Hall Annex duct cleaning, total $47.80. Craig?
Same thing here, just duct work cleaning over, this will be in the engineering offices, just regular maintenance duct work cleaning in there. To handle that, it'll be $4,780, and that is within Gene's budget.
Questions?
Motion.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item number 11 is authorization for a minor public works contract with ABBA Contract. I thought they were singers. City Hall Annex window treatment, total $37.85. Oh yeah, somebody just Google it, look it up. I think they've made a comeback. They're old, like me.
Take
So-
a chance
Sir, this will
on
be, minor public works contract for office renovations, for 3 offices. This is gonna handle the exterior window treatments for those 3 offices. One will be film on 2 windows, the other 3 will be solar shades. Be $3,785, that is within contract.
Solar shades, that's kind of 70s.
Motion.
Moved, seconded. All in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries. Item number 12, amending our contract with Crimson Carpet and Flooring. Craig?
This was also for office renovation. We had to redo some track work, ceiling repairs for additional $981 within budget.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 13, amending contract amount with McWilliams Repair. Craig?
Same offices, just had to change contract there to add in a door that needed to be put in. That was a $2,000 upgrade on that door.
And that's within
Yes, sir, that's
budget.
within budget
Yeah.
on this.
Any questions?
Motion.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 14 is amending our contract amount with Paint on Us. Craig?
And that was to essentially paint the door that was replaced in the previous amendment there. So, and the wall where it was replaced. So that was an additional $900 within budget.
Questions?
Motion.
Second.
Moved and second, and all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Wow, it passed. Our next Public Projects Committee meeting will be held next Tuesday, September the 20th. Is there any new business to be brought before our committee? If not, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed?